Now you can enjoy the happiness of the holidays for the next 6 months by paying less and making more money by getting 180 days of picks from your favorite handicapper at a huge discount. This limited time Christmas special gives you a 90-day all access pass with a handicapper of your choice at wagertalk.com, plus an additional 90 days of all access passes at no additional cost, an $849 value. This comes out to just under $5 per day, includes all sports released and any 5% best bets, normally priced at $35 each. Your access with your handicapper will cover NFL through the Super Bowl, college football through the national championship, any NBA and NHL action, including playoff games played during access and the start of the MLB season. Plus, if your handicapper does UFC, soccer, tennis, or any sport, yep, it's included. Happy holidays from everyone at Wager Talk.
Welcome into the NFL opening line report for Monday, the week of December 20th. Christmas week is here, and we're breaking it down, letting you know where these lines are going in the NFL so you can get on the right side of these numbers. I am Drew Martin, joined by Teddy Covers. Teddy, welcome in. Happy Monday morning to you, buddy.
Hey, great to be here, Drew. And of course, just to give you guys a quick scheduling note, yes, it is holiday time, but the good news is that none of the holidays are falling on a Monday this year. So we'll be able to do the opening line report every week throughout the holiday season like we normally do. Be sure to tune in every Monday. We'll do our best to put you on the right side of some of these NFL line moves. So I'll tell you what, Drew, this is not going to be an easy week, and there's not going to be a whole lot of emergency betting alerts today, simply because the COVID situation in the NFL, it's out of control. And as we've seen over the course of the last few days, there's going to be a lot of line movements that we're not going to be able to predict on a Monday morning based on who's getting what the COVID news says throughout the course of the week. So we'll do our best.
Sure.
We'll get through every game like we do, but emergency betting alerts, I've only got one for today.
All right, well, we're ready for this one, Teddy. And you bring up COVID-19, the new variant wreaking havoc, not only in the stock market, but in the NFL betting markets as well, Teddy. So right at the top, guys, I mean, the point of the show is to get on the right side of some of these line moves for this upcoming week in the NFL. But we got to talk about it off the top. The Monday nighter here, we actually get a happy hour special, and then the normal Monday night football game here, Teddy, and two games on Tuesday. So right at the top of the show, tee it up for you. What are your kind of thoughts here betting into these four early week NFL games?
All right, so I'm not in action on either game tonight, for what it's worth. Minnesota's holding steady at 6.5, 45.5 against the Bears for the late game, the normal Monday night football game this evening. I'm not seeing any signs that the Vikings are going to 7 just yet, nor am I seeing any indication that we're going to see Bears money to push this line down. I don't see any urgency for Minnesota, Chicago, whichever side or total you like in that one. Like I said, I can't get to the window laying close to a touchdown with a team that doesn't win by margin, and the Bears defense is now as bad as the Bears offense. They're not a team I'm looking to back at this stage of the campaign. I need one more loss to cash the big ticket on Chicago under their season win total. I'm really looking forward to one more loss from the Bears. Hopefully we can get it tonight, but it's not a game I'm going to bet. When it comes to the Raiders and the Browns, I did a big game breakdown on this. I'll tweet it out right after the show. I didn't have time to do it before, so you can read to get a full analysis on this game. But my analysis in the big game breakdown was, I don't know. That is a hard game to break down. The Browns obviously going with Nick Mullen and behind QB, but it's not just Mullen. There's, I think 28 guys from Cleveland on the COVID list, which means you have to lay 2.5/3 with the Raiders. I'm not laying 3 with the Raiders anywhere. Okay, not at home, not in Cleveland. So I guess it's Browns or pass for me, and I wouldn't be surprised if this game turns into, awkward start time. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being a relatively low-scoring affair. Lean under for Monday night between the Raiders and the Browns. That's the earlier game tonight, 2 o'clock Pacific. For the 2 Tuesday games, the Rams, Seahawks, it looks like LA's COVID outbreak has been contained. The money's all come for the Rams of late. Seattle still playing, essentially playing for their season in that contest. I'm at 7. I expect the Rams to go off at 7, barring further COVID news. There's no urgency to get to the window in that one. And the Eagles and Washington, we still don't know who's going to play quarterback for Washington. And that is going to determine where that point spread is going to go. If we see Heineke behind center for the football team, they may take some money against the Eagles. But as we talked about last Monday, we gave the emergency betting alert on Philadelphia when they were 4 in this ball game. The market's been real supportive of the Eagles of late. There's been a lot of wise guy support for Philadelphia. So I don't anticipate, even if Heineke plays for the Washington football team, I don't anticipate that line going down in any significant way.
Good stuff, Teddy. Guys, we got the NFL opening line report starting right now for this upcoming week in the NFL. We got Thursday, Saturday, Sunday games. And right off the top here, Teddy, Thursday nighter, San Francisco 49ers, Tennessee Titans. We're seeing this game right now, looking at the Wager Talk odds screen, -3.5. There actually is a -4 popping up at Circa in Las Vegas, 44.5 being the total. The Niners playing some good football, winning and covering their last 2. Tennessee, on the other hand, against the spread, losing 4 of their last 5. Teddy, what are we liking in Nashville Thursday night?
And again, a Thursday night game, so we can talk about betting alerts for a game like this with more confidence than we can for a game that's going to be played this weekend when who knows how many more COVID outbreaks we're going to get. And that means there's only one on today's show. Let's do it right here. Emergency betting alert. If you like the 49ers, bet them right now at -3.5. This line can only go up. San Fran is very hot in the betting marketplace right now, and yesterday's blowout win over Atlanta isn't going to change that. Look-ahead line here was only San Fran -1, total of 47. And, of course, when I talk about the look-ahead lines, these are the bettable lines from the Westgate Superbook here in Las Vegas for these week 16 games that were available to bet this past week. So we see how much a single weekend of NFL action can affect these point spreads. And this one affected it fairly significantly. The 49ers were -1 at the look ahead. They're -3.5 now as a prevailing number. As you mentioned, there are 4s popping up. I expect more 4s to pop up. I wouldn't be surprised if this line goes 4, 4.5, maybe even higher. There's a lot of support for San Fran now that they're getting healthier. You know, Kittle and Samuel, all of a sudden, the big, dangerous big play duo. Brandon Ayuk, now they got 3 big play receivers all healthy at the first time. The pass rush, monstrous yesterday. They forced 20 fumbles, most in the NFL this season. The quotes after yesterday's game, Kyle Juszczyk, I think we're peaking at a good time. We're definitely not playing the best we can. There's a lot of things that didn't exactly go our way, but we're able to battle back and not let it phase us. I feel like we're playing good ball right now and stacking some weeks. Jimmy Garoppolo after the game. Guys were locked in today. You felt it throughout the week. It was a big game, NFC opponent, playoff picture, everything like that. It's December football. We knew what we were in for. Now, it is worth noting, short week, they prepped heavily for last week's game and we're into it. It might not be the ultimate bet-on spot for San Fran in this ball game, but there's a lot of anti-Tennessee money in the markets right now, and I don't disagree with that. They won the rushing battle 201-35 yesterday and still lost to Pittsburgh. No completions of 20 or more yards. This is a team that's made a bunch of money for their backers on the road, 15-6 their last 21, straight up on the highway. But at home, it hasn't been the same. The turnovers have been a problem. 13 of them in the last 4 games. They're just 1-3 straight up. The lone win coming only against the Jags during that span. Julio Jones tweaked his hamstring. Obviously, you still don't have A.J. Brown. You still don't have Derrick Henry. Ryan Tannehill, it has to get cleaned up. Obviously, you turn the ball over as many times as we did, you're going to put yourself in a tough position. Might be in a tough position here against a 49ers team that has been forcing turnovers in bunches. I do expect some San Fran money. We've already seen some for San Fran money. There were 3s out there last night, 3.5s now. This line looks like it's going to continue to move up for the 49ers.
And Teddy, something I'd like to ask you on Thursday nights here, NFL opening line report. We see the San Francisco 49ers looking good against the Falcons like you talked about, and the Tennessee Titans not looking good for quite some number of weeks now, but playing at home, San Francisco making the trip from the West Coast on the short week. Would this line be any different if it was played on Sunday? Any quick thoughts there?
I think it would be higher. Yes, I think there's, again, I think it might have opened 4 and got bet up to 4.5 instead of opening 3 and bet up to 3.5. The fact that San Fran has the travel with the West Coast team traveling east There's on the short week off the big win.
Yep.
I do think it's affected it at least, a half point or a point here in
Okay.
favor, at least for the opener, in favor of Tennessee. Whereas, I think it would open 3.5 or 4 on Sunday.
Okay, good stuff, guys. We're moving on to the Saturday card here, December 25th. A little Christmas NFL football, Teddy. We get Cleveland and Green Bay at the top. Looks to be a 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific kick here. We're seeing 45.5 being the total, -7 in the hook, or -8 starting to pop up. That's South Point in Las Vegas. Most other shops, it's 7 in the hook here. That's the Green Bay Packers, the home favorite. Saturday, Christmas Day in Lambeau, Teddy.
Now, I'm going to say this right here. There were some weird look-ahead lines last week, and I don't know why. I mean, lines that look weird at the time that still look weird in retrospect. I saw the sheet with my own eyes. It existed. So they're not fake numbers from the Westgate, but there were some, I'll just say, off numbers because there are so many teams that are dealing with COVID issues right now. Look at Marketplace last week. Again, there's some weird numbers. Like the Packers 3.5 over the Browns as a look ahead last week. My powering number, and this isn't a powering number with the Browns minus 28 players. This is a powering number with the Browns as a relatively healthy team. My number was 5. The market's open 7.5. We're looking at 7.5. There are a couple of 8s that have popped up. And Green Bay is not going to be an easy team to lay this price with. Okay. The defense is clearly vulnerable. We saw them get eaten up by the Ravens with a backup quarterback. We saw them get eaten up by the Bears the last 2 weeks. And that's not a who's who of elite offenses. The offense, on the other hand, is a vintage Aaron Rodgers and a really good running game. Packers overs make a whole lot of sense. But again, Green Bay started their 8th different offensive line, primarily backups on the offensive line again. That's a concern given their defense. But of course, we'll have to see what Cleveland looks like. They play tonight against the Las Vegas Raiders.
Teddy, next game up Christmas night here. We get a little back-to-back on Christmas football here. Indianapolis Colts, Arizona Cardinals. We're seeing the Cardinals -1, -1.5 at home, depending where you're shopping. 49 being the total. Of course, the Colts playing some good football the last 2 weeks, Teddy, winning and covering their last 2. And Arizona, the exact opposite, losing both of their last 2 games, both straight up and against the spread. What are we thinking in the desert on December 25th?
Yeah, Christmas night. Arizona, look-ahead line, -1 and 51. My powering number has the Cardinals -2, and the markets are kind of right in between. I'm seeing 1s out there. I'm seeing 1.5s out there. There is a 2 in one of the prominent global books. So there's certainly a modest variance on this one. It's not going to 3. It's not going down to pick 'em, I don't think. But of course, in theory, it's supposed to be circle the wagons time for Arizona this week. All right. They started the day tied yesterday, tied for the NFL's best record, undefeated on the road, and 1 win away of ending a 6-year postseason drought. And then they lost badly in Detroit. And again, this team is now 3-4 in their last 7 games since starting 7-0. Last year, they started 5-2 and finished 3-6. They lost 2 win-in-your-in games in the final 2 weeks of the season. Asked after the game, Kyler Murray, is he worried about last year? Quote, "No, not at all, not at all, not at all. This isn't nowhere near where we were last year, and we're not going to allow it to be so." Zach Ertz, after the game, quote, "We can't let this thing spiral. Momentum is real in the NFL, good and bad." Another quote from Murray about Detroit yesterday. "They were hungrier than us. They played harder than us. We didn't come prepared at all, and it showed." But it's not a healthy Arizona team. DeAndre Hopkins on injury reserve now. Jordan Phillips, the defensive end, and Rondell Moore both got hurt yesterday. This is a team that's lacking the offensive weapons that has gotten them this far. The Colts did a lot of things right against New England. Certainly a team that is playing their best football here in December. They went 3 of 3 on 4th down. They've been able to bully teams at the line of scrimmage. Only 5 completions for Carson Wentz in that ballgame. Jonathan Taylor all of a sudden making a late season surge for MVP. Indy's been a popular wise guy choice. Let's see what that Arizona looks like. That Arizona injury report looks like as the week goes on. Even in the circle the wagon spot for the Cardinals, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see at least some Colts money come in between now and Christmas.
Teddy, moving on to the Sunday slate here, December 26th, the day after Christmas, we get Tampa Bay, Carolina, 45 being the total. Bucks minus 11, minus 11 and a half, pretty much across the board here. Of course, the Bucks not looking good last night. Tom Brady and company having trouble with that Saints defense. Carolina not looking good offensively. What do we do here in Carolina? Tampa at Carolina, Teddy.
And this is one of those you got to take it with a grain of salt. But the look-ahead line said Tampa minus 6.5. Total of 51. My powering number is 13.5, although I didn't properly adjust perhaps for all the injuries the Bucs suffered in yesterday's ballgame. The markets today are at 11.5, total of 45. I mean, it's a Tampa defense, only gave up 11 first downs last night, only 3 of 16 third down conversions for New Orleans, only 3.5 yards per play, and they lost. And they lost despite the fact that Brady leads the NFL in completions, attempts, yards passing, and touchdown passes. It was not good last night. That has probably to do something with the fact that all of his receivers are hurt. And Godwin got hurt last night. And Evans got hurt last night. And Fournette got hurt last night. They still have cluster injuries in the secondary for Tampa. No Antoine Winfield, no James Dean, no Richard Sherman. We'll see what that injury report looks like for the Bucs. If they get healthier, they're likely to take a fair bit of money because nobody wants Carolina right now. Last week, Matt Rule starting to make all kinds of excuses. Yes, their kicker got hurt in warm-ups yesterday. Okay, Rule after the game. Hey, that's not something we expected. If anything, I would have come into this game typically saying, it's windy weather. Let's kick short field goals to take points. We thought our defense was going to play well. The defense did play fairly well. We could have Sam Darnold back in the lineup for Carolina this week. Look, Cam Newton is now 0-12 in his last 12 games as the Panthers starter, including 0-4 this year. It was awful again yesterday. Not like Darnold was good. Carolina was 1-5 in his last 6 starts before he went on IR, but he may be back in the lineup this week, and Carolina should, in theory, have an NFL kicker this week. But we are talking about a team that's 2-9 in their last 11 games, and they've shown more quit than it's a Carolina team that's playing out the string at this stage, and Rule may be questioning his desire to be in the NFL. That's an interesting question moving forward. Nonetheless, this line going to move based on injuries more than any other factor. I'm not anticipating any groundswell of support for the Panthers at this late state of the campaign.
That was a lot to pick up there, Teddy. Matt Rule, maybe coaching questions. The old kicker getting injured in pregame warmups excuse. A lot going on there in Carolina. Good stuff, Teddy. We get New York Giants, Philadelphia Eagles up next. 42 being the total. We're seeing Eagles fly. Minus doubles at home. Minus 10 against the Giants, Teddy.
Now, this look-ahead line I know is wrong. I saw it on the street. It said 1.5, and I think it had to be 10.5. But the look-ahead line on the sheet said 1.5, total 46. I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be 10.5, and maybe it was 10.5 from a betting standpoint. My powering number, Eagles 9.5. The markets 10. Let's call it 10-42 this morning. Philly plays on Tuesday, so they will have a short week going into this divisional rivalry. But the Eagles, like San Fran, those have been two of the biggest wise guy supported teams over the course of the last month. The White Guys made money with both of those squads. Philly dominating on the ground week in, week out. And the Giants are pretty hopeless right now. Glennon's a turnover waiting to happen. Jake Fromm came in late. He escaped a sack and threw a couple of decent passes. Not much of a sample size, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see some Fromm. Glennon's not the answer here. But this is an incompetent Giants offense. They've averaged less than 12 points per game in their last 5. 5 consecutive 10-loss season for the Giants. 7 10-loss seasons the last 8 years. I'm not convinced the G-men are going to play, and I would anticipate Philly more likely to get the money, win or lose on Tuesday, even though it will be a short week for the Eagles.
Heck of a stretch there for Giants fans, Teddy. Eli Manning never sounded so good playing quarterback, probably. We get the LA Chargers versus the Houston Texans up next. Chargers minus 10.5 or minus 11, depending where you're shopping. The double-digit road favorite here, Teddy, 47.5 being the total in Houston, Texas, off of a win for the Texans.
Yeah, though, remember, the Giants have lost 10 games, 7 of the last 8 years. A lot of those came with Eli.
That's true. Okay.
And the Giants fans hated Eli, except for the Super Bowls, where the defense won them both. It wasn't like, Eli got credit for those. But you talk to the Giants fans that I was talking to, Eli was lukewarm. They like it better than Daniel Jones. no question, for Danny Dimes. Charging the Texans again. This is another weird look at line, 5.5 for LA. I don't think that was right. It's a bizarre number. Total of 47. My powering number is 10.5, and the market's 10.5, 11 for the Chargers. Even coming off that loss to Kansas City, the crushing divisional loss. Brandon Staley criticized after the game for all the fourth down conversions. Quote, I feel comfortable with all those decisions. That's the way we're going to play around here. We have a quarterback like ours. We have an offense like ours. That's the way we're going to play because that's how you need to play against Kansas City for sure. That's how we're going to become the team that we're ultimately capable of being by playing that way. Quote, I really like the way we managed the entire game tonight. It didn't go down for us, but we gave ourselves an opportunity. We just didn't finish the game off defensively. So Staley's telling you he's going to keep going for it. The Chargers have now gone for it on fourth down 29.9% of the time this season. That's the highest rate for any team since the 2007 Jacksonville Jaguars. But against a team like the Texans, you may not necessarily see that level of aggressiveness. Worth noting, the Texans had the first kick return touchdown for the franchise since 2009. And look, Houston is not playing for lottery spots and not playing for draft picks. They're playing to win. David Culley made it very clear that his effort is only on winning. So we came out with a game plan yesterday that was clearly we want to win. Davis Mills isn't hopeless. That being said, they're dealing with COVID. They're dealing with injuries. They were missing 7 starters, including 5 defenders yesterday, which could be a problem against that Chargers offense.
Teddy, next game up, heading to the ATL here. Detroit Lions, Atlanta Falcons, 44 being the total, -4.5. Downtown Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Detroit off of a win. Falcons laying 4.5. Kind of questioning that, Teddy. What are we thinking here in the ATL?
Yeah, big market correction. Look ahead line here was Falcons 7.5. My powering number is 4. Total 49 was the look ahead, which again seems really high. My powering number is 4.5 and 44. The markets are at 4.5 and 44 basically this morning. So not a huge difference between my numbers and the market numbers coming into the week. That's the best I've seen Detroit look all year. By far, they were the better team from the opening kick as a double-digit dog. Jared Goff, quote, the game we've talked about playing all season? This was that game. This is what we knew we could do. Craig Reynolds running for a career-high 112 yards. Another rookie, Amon-Ra St. Brown, a touchdown and 90 yards receiving, setting a season high the second straight week. And look, the Lions started 0-8. They're 2-3-1 in their last 6 games, and only one of those 3 losses came by more than a field goal. So they're playing their best football right now by far. The question is, can they do it 2 weeks in a row? Atlanta was rough yesterday. The defense got absolutely shredded. They allowed points on every first half drive. No punts, no turnovers, no sacks. Matt Ryan got hit a lot. The offense had 13 plays from inside the 10-yard line without scoring a touchdown. They had 5 plays from the 1 and couldn't score a touchdown. Matt Ryan, we got to be better in the short yardage situations where you just need a yard. We got to find a way to really convert those at a high level. Good football teams do that. We weren't good enough at that today. Atlanta had a chance to kind of play themselves into playoff positioning yesterday and didn't. Instead, they got a real ugly wake-up call. That doesn't necessarily bode well for them as favorites on a field where they haven't played well for extended stretches this season. But Atlanta has been much better against the weaker teams. When they played an opponent that has a winning record, they're 0-5. They've been outscored by 24 points a game. When they played a team with a losing record, like the Lions, they've actually been a good straight-up team and a good point spread team. In theory, this might be a decent bounce-back spot. And in theory, the Lions might be fat and happy. That said, you watch these 2 teams yesterday, you ain't laying 4.5 with Atlanta.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's why that number kind of it's I'm questioning it in my mind just going over this game. Detroit looking good, but they're also 0-6 on the road, so not sure how much we can trust them off of just looking good this past week. Guys, moving down the list here, Baltimore Ravens. Versus Cincinnati Bengals here, 465, 466, the rotation, 1 o'clock Eastern kick, 44.5 being the total, -2 in the hook. That's the Bengals at home. Teddy, earlier we talked about that Packers defense against the backup quarterback for the Ravens. I don't know, Tyler Huntley looking good, running and throwing the football. Of course, I know you know a lot about him from the college ranks at the Utah Utes. He played some good quarterback there in the Pac-12. It's kind of carrying over here to the NFL, at least out the gate. Can he keep this going? What are we thinking here? Baltimore and Cincinnati. Cincinnati -2 in the hook.
I will talk Baltimore and Cincinnati in one moment. We're seeing the markets move right now as we speak on the Texans, the game we just talked about. Chargers appear to have multiple COVID guys out. Just looking real quick. So the money as we speak is coming in on Houston. If you want Houston plus 10.5, you can still find it. It won't be there in 5 minutes. If you want Houston plus 10, you can still find it. I'm not convinced it'll be there by the end of the show. There is money coming for the dog in that ball game. Again, as we speak here on a Monday morning. We're talking Ravens and Bengals. And it's another funny look ahead line. It was Baltimore 6.5, which is that's a weird line. It's not a right line. It doesn't. I don't know what the deal was with the look ahead lines last week. But I wrote them down, and they look even weirder now. Bengals -1.5 is my powering number. The markets are at 2.5, largely for Cincinnati today. I don't think it's going to get to 3 because I do expect Lamar Jackson to be back this week. Harbaugh after the game. We anticipate Lamar being back, so he's not able to be fully ready. Then we'll go with Tyler. We're ready to go either way. Obviously, Tyler Huntley has been pretty darn good. And the second time in 3 weeks, the Ravens went for it on a 2-point conversion in the final minute of regulation to win the game. They came up short in both of those. Harbaugh after the game. We're just trying to get the win right there. I think our chances of winning right there were a little bit higher than overtime. Maybe if you calculate it out, I felt good about it. I don't blame them, but now it's 3 straight losses for Baltimore. They're 8-6. They're out of first place, out of sole possession of first place for the first time since October. And of course, it is a team that, they're playing without their starting quarterback, their top 2 running backs, 3 starting offensive linemen. They lost 3 defensive backs, before the game. That's why all the money came on Green Bay yesterday. It wasn't just Lamar Jackson. It was Lamar Jackson and 3 stars in the offensive line and their entire secondary and et cetera, for Baltimore. They're certainly anticipating that the Ravens are going to get guys back this week, and Baltimore off of 3 straight losses. One would expect a fair sense of urgency there. The Bengals 0-24 when trailing after 3 quarters under Zach Taylor. But yesterday in Denver, they got the ball back at the end of the third quarter, trailing, and they got a big play touchdown to get the lead right at the end of the third quarter, so that they were able to hold on. And of course, they were able to make the defensive plays at the end of the game to keep Denver out of the end zone. The rookie kicker McPherson now has 9 50-plus yarders for the season. Cincinnati, fairly confident team right now. There are not going to be no pushovers for Baltimore. They're favored in this ballgame. Fascinating contest. I have no idea what the line is going to do between now and kickoff. It will be largely related on what the COVID and injury report looks like for Baltimore between now and Sunday.
He's Teddy Covers. I'm Drew Martin. This is the NFL opening line report, going live on the Wager Talk YouTube channel each and every Monday, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Feel free to comment below if you're watching on replay on the YouTube replies there. And huge shout out to the chat box, everybody joining us live. Let us know your thoughts on the games we're talking. Also, what you're looking to bet this week. LA Rams, Minnesota Vikings, next game up. We're seeing the Rams -3, total of 49. Rams at Vikings. Teddy, what are we thinking here?
Yeah, look ahead line, LA -2.5 and 48. My powering number, LA -2.5. The markets were at 2.5 last night, 2.5/3 last night. It's mostly 3s this morning. The Vikings play tonight. The Rams play tomorrow. And we'll have to see what COVID news comes out for these 2 teams, what the injury reports look like after tonight's game, and how they perform over the next 36 hours before I give you. I mean, this is me trying to do an opening line report for this game last week because neither of these 2 teams have played yet. Can't do it. But okay. That's the current number. That's the best info that I have for the moment for Minnesota and LA. If you do like the Vikings tonight, not going to hurt to take a +3. If the Vikings, look good against the Bears, I don't know that number comes as high as it currently is.
Teddy, just a handicapping question for you off the top, because we don't get much NFL on Tuesday. The 4 teams, Seattle Seahawks, LA Rams, Washington Football Team, and Philadelphia Eagles slated to play Tuesday, December 21st. What about just a straight fade on those 4 teams this next Sunday because of the super short week? Anything there, you think?
I wouldn't talk you out of it.
Okay.
But then you think about it this way. It's not as short as a team that plays on Sunday and then has to play on Thursday night. So there's enough time.
Okay.
It's not as bad. It's not as much of a disaster as you think it is. That being said, the NFL Thursday night product is weak. The teams aren't as prep. They're not as good. It's clearly, if you watch NFL all the time, you see the Thursday night games aren't as good, and there are more issues with randomness on Thursday night. That may well be the case for all of you. But in terms of a strategy betting against them, I wouldn't argue with that. But I don't know that's going to make you a fortune, but you might go 3-1.
Right. Hey, 3-1. I'll take 3-1. We get Jacksonville Jags, New York Jets. Jets -2 to as high as -3 actually at South Point in Las Vegas. 41.5 being the total. What are we thinking here? Jags and Jets, kind of bottom of the barrel game here, Teddy.
Yeah, well, we had. Of all the ones that I split out in the NFL this week. I did a big ticket on Pittsburgh that was good. The NFL 5% has been real good all year this year, all year last year. Across sports, my 5%ers have been good. That's the only thing that I have that's been good of late, unfortunately. But I'll take the big plays cashing. That's important. That being said, I've been really kicking the Jags couldn't lay 6 yesterday, and of all the things I missed, I should have had Houston plus in my pocket. That being said, I don't know the Jets are a real good favorite either. Look at line here, -1.5, 44.5. My powering number is Jets -3. And as you mentioned, the markets this morning, there were 1.5s and 2s last night. Those have all been bet to 2.5 now. And there are 3 starting to pop, although I don't think this line is going to get to 3 across the board. Not the way the Jets are playing. The Jets played the 31st ranked rushing offense yesterday and gave up 183 yards on the ground, by far Miami's season high. 4 of the top 5 snap leaders on the defensive line are backups. Shaq Lawson with a healthy scratch yesterday. They gave up 5 of their 6 sacks in the second half. The center, Connor McGovern, said the Dolphins kind of switched up their defense a little bit. It wasn't quite the zero pressure we were expecting. They were bringing a little bit different forms of pressure. The Jets had 54 yards of total offense in the second half of that ball game. The only touchdown they had was on a pick 6. And this is an offense that has 2 touchdowns the last 28 drives. You want to lay points with that team? Not me.
Mm-hmm.
No. We did cash our second season win total bet yesterday with the New York Jets under their season win total. The Jets are now 3-11. They cannot go over 6.5 wins. So 2-0 with the season win totals that have already been decided, and hopefully we get the Bears tonight, knock on wood. Of course, the Jaguars scored 16 points yesterday. That's nearly a full touchdown more than they've been averaging over the last 7 games since the bye week. Only 1 touchdown drive, though. This offense has only scored 7 touchdowns. Only 1 against the Texans, who are missing 5 defensive starters. Interim head coach Darrell Bevell. We just didn't play a clean football game. They had 3 special teams breakdowns leading to 17 Texans points. They had 5 drop passes. They had 2 chances in the fourth quarter in a 1-score game and couldn't get it done. Trevor Lawrence, quote, "It's definitely frustrating. All the guys are frustrated. We want to be more consistent. We want to win. We all have to play better." That's the thing. You got to look yourself in the mirror and figure out how to get better. I think we'll do that, but we got to really do that this week. Good luck with that, Trevor. Pass for me. I don't know if I get involved in this one.
Yeah, heck of a quote there, guys. Teddy talked about it at the top there. Is 5% in the NFL, 70% this year, 74% going back to September of last year. So look out for those 5% and 56% overall since 2015 in the NFL. That's long-term, guys. So check them out, WagerTalk or SportsMemo.com. We got next game up in the AFC East. A good one here, Teddy. Buffalo Bills, New England Patriots. Patriots we're seeing mostly -2.5 at home, 44 the total. What are we thinking here? AFC East battle, Teddy.
And it's another weird look-ahead line. The look-ahead line at Buffalo -3.5, 47.5. And I'm not buying that was real. My powering numbers, the Patriots won. The betting markets are the Patriots, as you mentioned. I've seen a lot of New England money over the course of the last 24 hours. And I don't know that it gets to 3. I think at 3 we see buyback for Buffalo again. So I didn't want an emergency betting alert at 2.5 here. That said, it's not going down. Okay, so if you like the Patriots, I would bet that sooner rather than later. And this could have been an emergency betting alert ball game. Look, it's a Bills offense that is fairly limited right now. The pass rush is a monster. They control the line of scrimmage. They covered the spread because they went for it on 4th and 2, just outside the 2-minute warning. Probably the worst beat of the day, one of the worst beats of the day. You had Carolina plus. Bills have multiple offensive line starters on the COVID list. They were able to run the football yesterday. Season best 86 yards on the ground for Devin Singletary. But again, it's not easy for Buffalo to move the football right now. Josh Allen after the game, we're going to need that, the running game, moving forward. We all know who we have next week. It's no secret. Patriots played their worst game since September against Indy and still almost came back and made things very interesting in the fourth quarter before that last TD run from Jonathan Taylor. They allowed a block punt. The worst Mac Jones has looked, I think at any point, he looked like a rookie in that ball game. Belichick after the game, I've said it like 5 times. I can say it another 5 times. We didn't do anything well enough to win tonight. Patriots off a loss and a better bet than the Bills off a win of late. That could be why we've seen the New England money in early betting action.
Afternoon kicks the rest of the way here, guys. Chicago Bears, Seattle Seahawks next up. We're seeing -7 at most shops. There is a 6.5 at South Point in Vegas, Teddy. 44 being the total. Of course, that's the Seahawks favored at home. One of these Tuesday games from this week, Teddy, that's the Seahawks now on Sunday hosting the Chicago Bears. The only thing about the scheduling in this is the Bears playing on Monday. So I don't know if we get that situation that I was really talking about. Only one day extra prep here for Chicago, but having to go on the road. Anyway, Teddy, we're seeing mostly 7s here. That's the Seahawks at home.
Look headline, 5.5 and 45. My powering number is only 4 on this ball game for Seattle, although that could change after tonight's game. But as you mentioned, the Bears play Monday. The Seahawks play Tuesday. This is a look-ahead line right here of 7 and 44/43.5. And I don't have a strong take for this until we see what happens tonight.
Sure. I think that's the first time in NFL opening line report history we're actually not able to get a true look on the game with both of these two teams still to play this week. We get Pittsburgh,
well,
Kansas
the Vikings
City
and the
up
Rams
next.
Also. The Vikings, the Rams, the one we talked about earlier.
Point.
The Vikings play tonight and the Rams.
Yeah.
So there's 2 that, again, these are look-ahead lines we're talking about. We're not talking about actual points.
Sure. Good stuff, Teddy. We get Pittsburgh, Kansas City up next. Chiefs mostly -10 in Arrowhead. We are seeing a 9.5 and a 10.5 out there, so make sure to shop around, guys. 46.5 being the total. Steelers and Chiefs, Teddy.
And I phrased that poorly. A look-ahead line isn't, a bettable point spread, but it's not an opening line. It's a look-ahead line. So, this is the opening line report. We really try to focus on the lines for this week's games, and what we have now for Chicago, Seattle is a look-ahead line for next week's game. This is an opening line for this week's game. Look-ahead line was KC -8 and 50. My powering number is -8.5 and 50. My powering number is 8.5 and 50 as well. And we're looking at a total that is much lower at 46.5, and a side that is a notch or 2 higher. And look, it's a Chiefs team. They were 3-4 at the end of October. I was on this show saying the last place Kansas City Chiefs. They won 7 straight now. They're up by 2 games in the AFC West. They were off a huge divisional matchup. The defense didn't play great last week after 3 straight games. But again, they were missing 3 key defensive players last week, including Chris Jones, who is the key defensive player for Kansas City. Makes it difficult for the Chiefs to cover double-digit point spreads when their defense isn't getting stops, and Chris Jones is a huge part of that. The Steelers are ugly to watch, all right? They lose the rushing battle every week. They're getting killed. They got killed 201-35 on the ground yesterday, okay, for Pittsburgh. And when you talk about teams in basically a pick-em point spread range that get out-rushed by 201-35, they don't win or cover very often. Plus 4 turnovers, though. Cam Hayward, splash plays are always the equalizer. How many turnovers did we get? 4. Man, they came at crucial times and got us back in the game and gave us a lead. We've been saying the dam is going to break. You have to keep practicing. And the practicing the drills we're doing are starting to pay off. They had TJ Watt back in the game yesterday. He was certainly an impact player. And they finished with only 168 yards of total offense. The first time they've ever won with Ben Roethlisberger at QB with less than 200 yards of offense. But remember, when you get all those turnovers deep in your opponent's territory, you don't gain a whole lot of yards. You only gain 3.7 yards per play. They're only 2 of 11 on third down. They only had 12 first downs, and 3 of them came by penalty. You do worry about a potential flat spot. Quote from Ben Roethlisberger after the game. When you got teams like this and environments like this, every game is a playoff. It had the feel of a playoff game, physically, emotionally. We worry about that this week. Remember, all 7 of their wins have come by 8 points or less. They have been blown out a couple of times. And, one of the things Pittsburgh's done a remarkable job at not losing contact, which has made them a good underdog in a lot of games. It's an interesting one. KC has the potential to smack them around. If this is not one of the games that the Steelers want to get off to one of their slow starts. They've gotten off to so many this season, and especially in recent weeks.
AFC West battle up next. Denver Broncos, Las Vegas Raiders. Near a pick 'em price here, Teddy C, and mostly Raiders -1 in Las Vegas. -1.5 is out there at DraftKings. 42 being the total. Of course, Las Vegas still to play at 5 p.m. on Monday, but still, Teddy, we get the Broncos and the Raiders. What are we thinking in Allegiant Stadium, Las Vegas Strip?
If the Raiders win at Cleveland today, this line will be higher. There's definitely correlation between the Raiders tonight and the Raiders next week. Because if they win tonight, they're very live in the AFC playoff picture. They got 2 divisional foes down the stretch, and they're live. And if they lose today, they're not really live. So that's, I think, will make an enormous difference. Denver, every time they get a chance to do something right, they mess it up. Yesterday, Teddy Bridgewater was awful yesterday. He had 24 dropbacks for 80 net yards. It's not a passing game that scares anyone. So then he got hurt. Drew Lock came in and was chucking the ball all over the field. And then, of course, Lock with the fumble inside the goal line or inside the red zone, a second and goal fumble. Quote, I should have handed that thing off to Javonte, but also if I run that thing to the end zone, make the defensive end miss, who knows what's being said right now. But another winnable game that Denver let get away from them. They fall back to 500. They're still live in the playoff picture, but this is not a Broncos team that can do a whole lot offensively. But this line is going to get based on what all the Raiders look like today. If the Raiders show, play hard, win, they'll attract betting market support. If they don't, the Denver defense is really good. Even when the offense stinks, the Broncos are keeping them in the game week in, week out. Like I said, my powering number still has Denver the favorite. And I don't expect that to change, even if the Raiders look decent tonight.
Guys, Sunday nighter and Monday nighter to end it. NFC East here, Washington football team. Dallas Cowboys, we're seeing Cowboys -10. There are some 10 in the hooks out there, Teddy. 47 being the total. What are we liking in Dallas, Texas?
It's another one of those look-aheads that was weird. Dallas 3.5 and 47, and that can't be real. My powering number is 10. The markets are at 10, 10.5. And it's not like the Washington football team, yes, the money's poured in against them because of their COVID situation, but it's not like they were going to be plus 3.5 at Dallas to begin with. So they play on Tuesday. Nothing to talk about with Washington right here. We don't even know who's going to play quarterback or how many guys are going to come off the COVID list between now and then. Dak Prescott's been struggling. He's really struggling right now. The Dallas, they ended yesterday's game with the most offensive penalties in the NFL. The red zone, the last 2 weeks, they've only scored 3 touchdowns and 11 red zone tries. Now, the fact they got into the red zone 11 times is certainly a good sign, but you got to score TDs to cover point spreads. This has been a dominant defense team. When you hear the quotes coming out of this defense, Trayvon Diggs, we're the best defense in the NFL. The last 6 games, they've allowed more than 20 points only once. 31 takeaways, most by a Dallas defense since 2014. 23 interceptions, most by a Dallas defense since 1999. Micah Parsons, this is how we built our identity. We pride ourselves on playing hard-nosed football, out-hitting the other team. It's a better game when make score. They scored 0, and we held them out. I thought we did a great job today. DeMarcus Lawrence back in the lineup. It's been amazing to be in a team with a strong defense. Doesn't get any better than that. Lawrence said this is the best defense he's played on his 8 seasons in the league. Dallas, a dead nuts under team, Washington's a COVID outbreak, and this total's sitting there at 47.5, 48 right now. I'm not so sure that lasts.
Guys, last game up for the slate here. NFL opening line report each and every Monday, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Come and join us. We get the Miami Dolphins, New Orleans Saints. Teddy, 39 being the total. We're getting sub 40 total here from the opener. So some under money coming in. And we're seeing the Saints -3 at home. 2 7-7 teams. Maybe an elimination game here to make the playoffs, Teddy. A good one Monday night. What are we thinking in the Big Easy?
And I mean, again, look at the total was 46.5, and I can't buy that that's real. So I apologize for some weird look ahead numbers this week. That's what I got. They don't make sense to me, so I'm not convinced. I don't know what to do with it. Anyhow, look ahead line here was New Orleans 3 and 46.5. My powering number is New Orleans 3, and the betting markets are New Orleans 3. So in terms of a line value standpoint, I don't see a ton right here. I give Miami credit. Miami started out the game yesterday kind of like Arizona did. They were very fat and happy. Again, they were off 5 straight wins and a bye. They came out as flat as a pancake in that contest. But they didn't stay that way. Arizona couldn't get the juice going as the game progressed. Miami could. They've now won, as you mentioned, 6 in a row to get back into playoff contention. But let's be real. The winning streak is all schedule. Okay, they played the Jets twice, the Giants, the Texans, the Panthers. That's 5 of the 6. And they got the Ravens on a bad day for Baltimore. But while Miami is better now than they were in their 1-7 start, they may not be quite as good as their 6-0 mark would indicate over the course of the last month. Tua wasn't all that good yesterday. He threw about 5 picks, only a couple of which were picked. But game on the line in the fourth quarter, Tua throws a pick 6, and then he made the plays in the final drive. You get the good and the bad for Miami. Yeah, Dennis Allen is a defense coordinator standing in as the head coach for Sean Payton yesterday. Don't know who's going to go for the Saints this week. Cam Jordan, who had 2 sacks and forced a fumble in the lowest scoring game of the season last night. Look, if we wanted to win, we had to put it on the D-line. We installed a 4-man rush front, and we got after him, Brady. We hit him early. We hit him often. We sort of rushed him a few more times than he normally has been. I'm overly impressed with my D-line. They do it here against Tua. Tua's quick and shifty. He's a very different guy to defend than Brady. But the Saints, I think, they're better than Miami. Miami's got the momentum. Miami's got a lot of things to like. But New Orleans showed last night that they're not going without a fight. And I wouldn't be surprised. Again, the money's going to come anywhere here. It'll be towards the favorite, not towards the underdog. I do think the betting markets will look at Miami's recent schedule and say, yeah, let's tap the brakes on this team a bit. They have been successful, but they've been largely successful beating up on bottom.
Sure, Teddy, and that Ravens win that you noted was on a short week, and they were the home team. So good stuff, as always, from Teddy Covers. I am Drew Martin, 10 a.m. Pacific time each and every Monday. Guys, this is the NFL opening line report. Please smash that like button if you're liking the content. Huge shout out to the chat box. And feel free to reply below, guys, if you're watching on replay. Teddy and I will be in there throughout the week answering any questions, comments. And Teddy, any final thoughts here before we shut it down?
Yeah, man, the feedback for the shows blows me away every week. We really appreciate all of you guys. Thank you. And both Drew and I try to get into the comments and answer whatever. If you got questions, just throw them in there. We'll do our best. Even Christmas week, we'll get there. So thanks for watching. Tune in. Enjoy the holidays, guy. Hey, guy. Enjoy the holidays. And we'll see you guys next Monday. Cheers.
Absolutely. Merry Christmas out there. Thanks for joining us, guys. Best of luck with your bets. We'll talk next Monday.
We know this business is loaded with competitors and copycats, and we are very proud and extremely excited to be one of, if not the premier sports betting information provider in North America. From a massive library of free picks and handicapping videos, daily shows, podcasts, and articles, our free live odds service, a team of the nation's finest sports handicappers supported with top-rated customer service, we pride ourselves on being the leaders in our industry, always looking to evolve and stay multiple steps ahead of our competitors. With that being said, we truly do want to let you know we appreciate your patronage. Moving forward, 7-day all-access packages will be reduced from $119 to just $99, and our 30-day all-access packages are also being slashed moving forward, going from $349 to under $10 a day at only $299. Our new pricing is already active and available just by going to your favorite handicapper's homepage right now.